The town of Willow Creek was quiet that afternoon. The sun shone brightly, warming the streets, the parks, and the small houses with neatly trimmed lawns. Children played outside, laughing as they ran after balls and kites while parents watched from benches, chatting softly with each other. The air was filled with the scent of fresh grass and flowers, and the birds sang high above in the trees. It was the kind of peaceful day that made people feel safe and happy. Mia, a cheerful girl of 8, walked along the sidewalk with her dog, Thor. Thor was a German shepherd, large and powerful, with a coat that shone in the sunlight. He was strong, intelligent, and extremely loyal to Mia. People in the neighborhood admired him not only for his size but also for his gentle nature. He knew when to be calm and kind and when to act quickly if he sensed danger. Mia trusted him completely, and he seemed to understand her feelings as if he could read her mind. Mia and Thor had walked this path many times before. They waved to neighbors, picked up leaves, and sometimes stopped to watch a butterfly dance in the air. Thor walked proudly beside Mia, his tail held high. He was friendly to everyone who treated him kindly. Children loved to pet him, and adults often smiled when they saw them passing by. On this particular afternoon, however, something was different. A group of bikers entered the main street of Willow Creek. The sound of their motorcycles was loud and sudden, breaking the calm of the town. Engines roared and the ground seemed to shake as the bikes moved closer to the park. Some of the children stopped playing, looking curiously and a little nervously at the motorcycles. Adults paused, unsure if the bikers were just passing through or planning to stop. Among the bikers was a man who seemed to enjoy the attention. He was tall, wore a leather jacket, and had dark sunglasses that hid his eyes. His hair was black and slicked back, and he carried himself with a confidence that bordered on arrogance. He noticed Mia and Thor walking by the park. He grinned to himself, looking at the large dog with amusement. "Watch this," he said to his friends. There was a mean humor in his voice that made Mia's stomach twist and worry. She had no idea what he was planning, but Thor seemed to sense the tension. His ears moved slightly and he stopped walking, turning his gaze toward the biker. There was something about Thor's stance that made even the biker pause for a moment. Thor was calm but alert, his muscles ready to spring into action if needed. The biker, ignoring Thor's warning, rode closer. He stopped his motorcycle near Mia and kicked Thor's side with his boot. It was meant to be a joke, a challenge, or perhaps a way to show off in front of his friends. Thor yelped in surprise, but he did not attack immediately. His eyes, dark and fierce, fixed on the biker, and his tail stiffened. He did not move, but the warning growl that rumbled from his chest told the biker that Thor was not a dog to underestimate. Mia gasped and stepped forward. "Stop, don't hurt him," she shouted. Her voice was firm but filled with fear. Thor looked back at her for just a moment as if to say that he had understood her, then returned his gaze to the biker. The biker laughed, thinking the dog was only reacting for show. He thought it was funny, so he sped off with his friends, the sound of motorcycles fading down the street. Mia knelt beside Thor immediately, running her hands over his head and shoulders. "It's okay, boy," she whispered softly. "You're safe now." Thor nuzzled her gently, grateful for her touch, but the fire in his eyes did not fade. The biker's action had triggered something inside him. He had been patient and gentle for many years, but now he remembered the kick, the arrogance, and the danger. His body remained calm, but every muscle was tense, ready to act if the threat returned. Mia stroked his fur slowly, trying to calm him, but she also understood that Thor was more than just a pet. He was a protector, and he took his role seriously. Later that day, Mia told her parents what had happened. Her mother's face turned pale as she listened. "You have to be careful, Mia," she said, holding her daughter's hands. "Thor is strong and smart, but there are people who do not respect animals. You must always stay close to him." Her father nodded, frowning deeply. "And maybe someone needs to warn that biker," he added. "Thor is loyal and brave. He will protect you and he should not be challenged, but that man needs to understand that Thor is not a dog to tease." Mia thought about what had happened and what her father said. She loved Thor more than anything. He was not just a pet or a friend. He was family. She remembered all the times Thor had been there for her, how he had comforted her when she was sad, how he had played with her in the garden, and how he had learned her routine so well that he could sense when she needed him most. That evening, Mia and Thor sat by the window watching the street quietly. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange and pink colors. Thor lay beside her, his head resting on her lap, eyes half closed. Mia whispered, "You're amazing, Thor. You're my hero." Thor looked up at her briefly and gave a soft, approving growl. While the town of Willow Creek returned to its usual calm, something had changed. Thor's loyalty and courage had been awakened in a new way. He was ready to face challenges that he might have ignored before. The biker had unknowingly tested him, and Thor had learned that some threats needed to be met with courage and strength. Mia did not know it yet, but the incident at the park would soon become more than just a memory. Thor's fierce side was quiet now, but it was growing, sharpening like a blade ready to defend the people he loved. And Mia, innocent and trusting, would soon learn that the quiet streets of Willow Creek were not always as safe as they seemed. Neighbors began to notice Mia and Thor's unusual alertness. Some saw Thor watching the road more carefully than before. Children whispered about the big dog who could protect anyone, while adults admired the intelligence and discipline of his movements. Thor's reputation as a gentle but powerful protector began to grow quietly throughout the town. Mia's parents decided to take extra precautions. They enrolled Thor in a training program that would help him become even more disciplined, while also teaching Mia how to stay safe. Thor enjoyed the training. He liked learning new skills, and he liked knowing that Mia felt safer with him by her side. The instructors were amazed by his intelligence and loyalty. They had trained many dogs, but Thor was special. He listened carefully, understood quickly, and always looked out for Mia first. Days passed, and life in Willow Creek seemed normal again. But Thor never forgot the biker. His senses remained alert, and he watched for any sign of danger. Mia noticed that Thor had grown even closer to her, and she realized that his bond with her was stronger than ever. Every touch, every look, every little movement reminded her that Thor was always ready to protect her. The day ended quietly, with Mia and Thor in their home, the soft light of the evening glowing around them. But deep inside Thor, the memory of the kick stayed. It was a small thing for some, but for him it was a test, and he had passed it. He had shown patience, strength, and loyalty. He was ready for whatever would come next. In the town of Willow Creek, the streets were calm, the children played, and the sun set peacefully. But among the quiet, a powerful guardian watched over one small girl and her dreams. Thor, the German shepherd, had proven that even in a gentle dog a warrior could live, and the people who might underestimate him would soon learn that courage and loyalty are stronger than jokes or arrogance. The morning after the incident at the park, Willow Creek was calm and bright. Sunlight spilled across the streets and a gentle breeze moved through the trees. Children ran to the playground with laughter, while parents gathered on benches watching the familiar scene of a small town waking up to a new day. But for Mia and Thor, the day was different. Both were quiet, alert, and aware that something had changed. Thor seemed more serious than usual. His ears twitched at every sound and his eyes followed every movement around him. When Mia reached for his leash to take him on their morning walk, Thor immediately stood tall and moved close to her. His presence was protective, and Mia felt comforted by it. She had always known Thor was strong and loyal, but now she realized that his instincts were sharper than she had ever noticed before. As they walked down the familiar streets, Mia could feel the weight of Thor's attention. He watched cars, bikes, and even other dogs carefully. His nose twitched and his tail moved slowly in a steady rhythm. It was as if he was saying, "Nothing will happen to you, Mia. I will watch everything." Mia smiled and patted his head, whispering, "I trust you, Thor. You are amazing." Meanwhile, the biker who had kicked Thor was not far away. He had returned to the town after a night out with his friends. He laughed about what he had done the day before, but in the back of his mind he wondered why the dog had not reacted aggressively. He had expected Thor to bark, chase, or at least scare him, but the dog had only grown quietly and remained alert. He did not understand that Thor was not an ordinary dog and that he was more than just a pet. He was a protector, a loyal friend, and a silent warrior. The biker decided to show off in front of some of his friends again. He rode his motorcycle slowly past the park where Mia often walked Thor. This time Thor noticed him immediately. His ears perked up, his body tensed, and his eyes locked on the biker. Mia saw the change and held Thor's leash tighter. She knew that Thor's instincts were warning her that trouble might come again. Thor stayed close to Mia as the biker approached. He did not attack, but his presence alone was enough to make the biker pause. Thor's eyes were steady and calm, but they held a power that could not be ignored. The biker laughed nervously. He had faced many things before, but the intensity in Thor's gaze made him uneasy. He realized that the dog was not like others he had met. Thor was smart, disciplined, and brave, and he was ready to protect Mia from any threat. Mia led Thor to the playground, hoping that being near other people and children would keep them safe. Thor remained alert, watching the streets and the park's entrance carefully. He stayed close to Mia, guiding her steps and walking with a quiet strength. Children came to pet him and he allowed it, but always kept one eye on the surroundings. His loyalty was clear to everyone who saw him. By midday, Thor's instincts had become even more noticeable. He led Mia to the edge of the park where a small pond reflected the sun. The water sparkled and a few ducks swam lazily. Mia laughed, enjoying the peaceful scene, but Thor's gaze was never far from the streets. He sniffed the air carefully, aware of every sound and movement. Mia realized that Thor's warrior side was awakening. He was learning that sometimes danger came quietly, and the best way to protect someone was to be ready at all times. Later that afternoon, Mia and Thor returned home. Mia's parents were relieved to see them safe. Her father knelt to pat Thor on the head. "You are an incredible dog," he said. "I think everyone in Willow Creek will soon know just how special you are." Thor wagged his tail slowly, acknowledging the praise, but his attention remained on Mia. She was his priority, and nothing else mattered more. That evening, as the sun began to set, the town streets became quiet again. Most people had returned to their homes. Mia sat by the window with Thor lying beside her, resting his head on her lap. She told her parents about the new sense of alertness she had noticed in Thor. "He feels stronger now," she said. "He watches everything. I think he knows when something is about to happen." Her mother nodded. "Thor is not just a pet, Mia. He is your guardian. You must trust him, but you also have to stay close to him." Mia understood. She felt safer knowing Thor was always alert and ready. At the same time, she knew that the biker from the day before could return. Thor's instincts had not failed, and she trusted him to protect her if the man came back. But she also realized that it was not only strength that made Thor special. It was his intelligence, his loyalty, and his calm bravery in the face of danger. The next day, Thor's warrior side became even more visible. While walking through the neighborhood, he noticed unusual movements on the far side of the street. A group of strangers had arrived, and their behavior seemed suspicious. Thor's ears pricked, and he let out a low, warning growl. Mia froze for a moment, then understood that Thor was sensing danger. She held his leash firmly. The strangers saw Thor and Mia and paused. They had not expected such a large and alert dog. Thor's presence alone was enough to make them reconsider their actions. They whispered among themselves, looking uneasy. Thor did not move toward them aggressively, but he did not need to. His power and determination were visible in every muscle, every stance, and every gaze. Mia realized that Thor's training, his loyalty, and his instincts were all connected. He had learned how to act calmly, to assess a situation, and to protect her without causing unnecessary harm. It was a skill that many people wished they had, but Thor had it naturally. She patted him and whispered, "Good boy, Thor. You always know what to do." By late afternoon, news of Thor's alertness began to spread through the town. Neighbors had noticed the way he watched over Mia, and the careful way he moved through the streets. Some told stories about his loyalty, while others marveled at his intelligence. Thor's reputation grew quietly, and people began to understand that this German Shepherd was no ordinary dog. He was a protector, a guardian, and a warrior in his own right. That evening, the biker returned to the edge of the town. He had heard whispers about a large, powerful dog that protected a little girl. Curiosity and pride drove him to see if it was true. As he rode closer to the park, Thor noticed immediately. His ears moved slightly, his tail stiffened, and his eyes locked on the approaching danger. Mia sensed his tension and held his leash tightly. She knew Thor was ready to act if necessary. The biker slowed as he saw Thor. He had expected a dog that might bark or growl, but what he saw made him uneasy. Thor's calm stance, his steady gaze, and the controlled power in his movements made the biker pause. He realized that Thor was not a dog to tease, challenge, or provoke. This dog had a mind of his own, intelligence beyond his size, and loyalty that would not allow harm to come to Mia. Thor stayed close to Mia, but his presence was enough to warn the biker. The man stopped, looked around, and finally decided to ride away. He had underestimated Thor, and now he knew that Willow Creek had a protector who could not be ignored. Mia hugged Thor, feeling proud and safe. She understood that her loyal companion was not only her friend, but also a guardian who could face danger without fear. As the sun set, Mia and Thor returned home. Thor lay beside her bed that night, his eyes still alert. Mia fell asleep, feeling safe, knowing that Thor was watching over her. Outside the town was quiet, but Thor remained ready. His loyalty and courage were unmatched, and anyone who threatened Mia or the town would soon learn the strength of a warrior in the body of a dog. In Willow Creek, life continued peacefully, but Thor's presence reminded everyone that even in a quiet town, courage, loyalty, and intelligence could make a difference. Thor had proven himself again. The biker had tested him, and Thor had responded with patience, strength, and control. Now the town knew that Mia and her guardian were a team that no one could challenge lightly. The next morning, Willow Creek woke under a soft golden sun. Birds chirped in the trees, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers and freshly cut grass through the quiet streets. Children ran to the playground, and neighbors walked their dogs along familiar paths. Life seemed calm, but for Mia and Thor the day felt different. Thor moved with a new confidence, his muscles relaxed yet alert. His eyes scanned the streets, noting every sound and movement. The incident with the biker had changed something in him. Mia held his leash firmly, sensing that Thor was more focused than ever. "Are you ready, boy?" she asked softly. Thor gave a small nod, almost as if he understood every word. The walk began normally, with Thor at her side, greeting neighbors and wagging his tail politely. Yet beneath the calm exterior, his instincts were sharp. He was watching the edges of the streets, the sidewalks, and the park entrances for any sign of trouble. By late morning, news reached the town about a stranger asking questions near the park. The man had been seen driving slowly, looking around and talking to a few unfamiliar faces. The townspeople whispered, warning each other to be careful. When Mia heard about it, she felt a flutter of worry, but Thor's presence reassured her. His gaze remained calm, but she could feel the tension in his body, ready to act if needed. Mia decided to take Thor on a longer walk that day. She wanted to make sure he stayed alert, and at the same time she wanted to enjoy the sunny morning. As they walked down a quiet street lined with trees, Thor stopped suddenly. His ears twitched and his body became rigid. Mia noticed the change and held his leash tightly. Thor's eyes focused on the distance where a figure appeared slowly moving toward them. It was the biker from before. He rode his motorcycle cautiously, clearly aware of Thor's reputation now. The man had underestimated the dog once, and he was not ready to face the same challenge again. As he approached, Thor did not bark or growl aggressively, but his presence alone was enough to make the biker uneasy. Every movement Thor made showed strength, intelligence, and a readiness to act. Mia's heart beat faster. She whispered to Thor, "It's okay, boy. Stay calm but be ready." Thor gave a low, steady growl, not in anger but as a warning. The biker slowed and stopped his motorcycle at a safe distance. He looked at Thor, trying to judge whether the dog would attack. Thor did not move forward, but his eyes never left the biker. The power in his gaze was clear, and the biker understood that this was not a dog to challenge. The biker finally spoke, his voice nervous. "I just wanted to see the dog," he said. His words were casual, but Thor's eyes never wavered. He stayed close to Mia, his muscles tense yet controlled. The biker could feel the weight of Thor's presence. He realized that the dog was not only loyal, but also highly intelligent. Thor understood the danger and would protect Mia without hesitation. Mia took a small step forward. "You should leave," she said calmly. "Thor will not allow anyone to harm me." Her voice was steady, and Thor stayed by her side, his tail low but firm. The biker looked at her, then at Thor, and finally nodded. Slowly he rode away, the sound of his motorcycle fading down the street. Mia exhaled deeply, feeling the relief, while Thor remained alert, watching until the man was gone. Later that afternoon, Mia and Thor returned to the park. The sun was warmer now, and the playground was full of children. Thor moved with confidence, guiding Mia along the paths and keeping a careful watch. Children approached him, eager to pet him, and he allowed it gently, his eyes still scanning for any sign of danger. Mia smiled, realizing that Thor could be both kind and fierce. His loyalty and courage made him a true protector, someone who could face danger calmly and act when needed. As they walked, Mia noticed a small commotion near the park's entrance. A few townspeople had gathered, pointing and whispering. Curious, Mia and Thor approached slowly. Thor's ears moved slightly and he sniffed the air carefully. Something was different here. The biker had returned, this time with a group of friends. They were testing the neighborhood, trying to see if the stories about Thor were true. Thor's muscles tensed, but he did not move forward yet. He stayed close to Mia, who held his leash firmly. She whispered, "It's okay, Thor. We can handle this together." Thor gave a small growl of agreement, understanding that he needed to protect her while staying controlled. The townspeople watched in awe as the dog stood calmly, powerful and alert, ready for any challenge. The bikers tried to provoke Thor. They shouted, waved their hands, and tried to make him angry. But Thor did not react aggressively. He stayed calm, his eyes fixed on the group, measuring their movements, waiting for the right moment. He was a warrior who did not act without reason, and the bikers soon realized that their tricks would not work. Mia's father arrived at the park, seeing the tension. He stepped forward and called out, "You should leave! This is a peaceful town and your behavior is not welcome." His voice was firm, but Thor remained the center of attention. The bikers glanced at him, realizing that they were dealing with more than just a child's pet. Thor was a protector, a guardian who would not allow harm. One of the bikers took a step closer, trying to scare Thor. But Thor moved slightly forward, his stance strong and steady, his growl low and commanding. The sound was not loud, but it carried a warning that no human could ignore. The biker froze, recognizing that he had underestimated the dog. Thor's eyes, calm but fierce, seemed to say, "Back away now or face the consequences." The other bikers looked around nervously. They had thought they were intimidating the town, but now they saw a force that was beyond them. Thor was not only strong, but he was intelligent, patient, and fearless. His loyalty to Mia was unmatched, and his presence alone changed the balance of power. Slowly, the bikers retreated, realizing that they could not challenge a dog who was prepared to defend his family and town. Mia hugged Thor tightly. "You did amazing, boy," she whispered. Thor nuzzled her gently, calming her fears. The townspeople gathered around, patting Thor and praising him quietly. Everyone understood that this dog was extraordinary. His courage and intelligence had protected Mia and sent a clear message to anyone who might think of causing trouble. That evening, Mia and Thor returned home. The sun set softly, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Thor lay beside her bed, watching the streets carefully from the window. Mia's parents smiled, knowing that Thor had grown even stronger and braver after the day's events. They realized that his loyalty and courage were rare, and that the entire town had seen a glimpse of the remarkable protector that Thor truly was. In Willow Creek, life returned to its calm rhythm. Children played, neighbors talked, and the streets seemed peaceful. But Thor's presence reminded everyone that bravery could come in many forms. He was not only a dog who loved his family, but a warrior who understood responsibility, loyalty, and courage. The biker and his friends had tested the town, but Thor had proven that strength, intelligence, and loyalty were more powerful than noise, pride, or foolishness. Mia slept soundly that night, knowing that Thor would always protect her. Outside, Thor remained vigilant, ready for any challenge. The town of Willow Creek might seem quiet, but it was guarded by a remarkable protector. Thor had faced his first real test and passed with calmness, strength, and intelligence. He was a warrior, a guardian, and a loyal friend who would not allow harm to come to Mia or the town. The next morning, the town buzzed with stories about Thor. Children told each other about his bravery. Neighbors praised his intelligence, and everyone agreed that he was extraordinary. Thor did not seek attention or praise. He only sought to protect Mia and those he cared for. His calm courage and unwavering loyalty had earned the respect of the entire town, and the bikers had learned a valuable lesson about underestimating the strength of a loyal warrior. The next morning, Willow Creek woke under a soft, golden sunlight. The streets were quiet, and the air smelled of fresh grass and flowers. Children ran to the playground laughing, while parents strolled along the sidewalks, greeting neighbors and keeping an eye on their little ones. Everything seemed calm, but for Mia and Thor there was a tension in the air that made their morning walk different from usual. Thor walked beside Mia with a sense of purpose. His ears twitched at every sound and his nose sniffed the air carefully. He seemed more alert than ever, aware that something unusual might happen today. Mia noticed his seriousness and smiled, placing her hand on his head. "I know you're ready for anything, Thor," she whispered. Thor nudged her gently as if to say, "I will always protect you." As they walked through the park, Thor noticed the usual spots where people played, children ran, and birds perched on the trees. But today, his attention was focused on the street leading into the park. His eyes locked on a group of motorcycles approaching in the distance. Mia tensed as she recognized the bikers from the previous encounters. The man who had kicked Thor was at the front, and he was clearly accompanied by others. Thor stepped closer to Mia, keeping himself between her and the approaching bikers. He did not growl or bark, but his stance was strong and steady, sending a silent message to the strangers that he was ready to defend. Mia held his leash tightly, feeling the familiar mix of worry and trust. She knew Thor would protect her, but she also knew the bikers were testing the town again. The bikers slowed as they neared the park. They had come to see if Thor's reputation was real, and now they faced the dog who had already scared them once. The man who had kicked Thor before tried to look confident, but his posture betrayed nervousness. He had underestimated the dog once and did not want to make the same mistake again. Thor stayed calm, his eyes locked on the man. He did not move forward, but every muscle in his body was ready. Mia whispered, "Stay calm, Thor, don't let them scare you." Thor gave a low growl, not in anger, but as a warning. The bikers stopped a few meters away, realizing that the dog's intelligence and bravery were more than they had expected. The leader of the bikers called out, trying to provoke Thor. "Come on, big dog. Let's see what you can do," he shouted, but Thor did not react aggressively. He remained calm, measuring the situation, ready to act only if necessary. Mia stepped slightly forward, placing herself in Thor's shadow. "You should leave," she said firmly. "This is a peaceful town and we will not allow trouble." The bikers laughed nervously. They thought they could intimidate the girl and the dog, but Thor's presence alone made them uneasy. He did not need to attack. His loyalty, intelligence, and control sent a clear message that the town was under protection. Thor had learned from the previous encounter and was ready to face the challenge without causing unnecessary harm. Suddenly, one of the bikers tried to ride closer to the park's edge. Thor's ears perked up and his stance became sharper. He stepped forward slightly, blocking the path. The biker stopped immediately. Thor's gaze held him in place, showing strength, focus, and readiness. Mia's heart beat fast, but she trusted Thor completely. She knew he would not act recklessly. The townspeople began to notice the tension. Neighbors came out of their homes. Children paused in the playground, and everyone watched as Thor stood between the bikers and Mia. His calm bravery impressed everyone who saw him. People whispered to each other about his loyalty, courage, and intelligence. Thor was not only a dog, he was a guardian, a protector, and a symbol of courage in their small town. The leader of the bikers realized that their plan to intimidate the town would not work. He looked at his friends, who were equally nervous, and finally nodded. Slowly, they began to retreat. Thor stayed in position, his eyes never leaving the bikers until they were out of sight. Only then did he relax slightly, walking back to Mia's side. She hugged him tightly, whispering, "You were amazing, Thor. You protected me and the whole town." After the bikers left, Mia and Thor continued their walk through the park. Children gathered around to pet Thor, who allowed them with gentle patience. He wagged his tail slowly, his fierce side resting while he still remained alert. Mia smiled, realizing that Thor could be both kind and brave. His loyalty and intelligence made him extraordinary. Later that afternoon, Mia and her parents decided to visit the park together. They wanted to make sure the community felt safe and that Thor could continue his role as a guardian. As they walked, neighbors greeted them, expressing gratitude for Thor's protection. People admired the calm strength in his stance, and children watched in awe as he moved confidently through the park. Thor noticed every movement, every sound, and every person in the park. He was aware of the town's rhythm, understanding who belonged and who might bring trouble. Mia walked beside him, learning more about his instincts and how he read the world around him. She realized that Thor's loyalty and intelligence were rare qualities that needed respect and care. By evening, Mia and Thor returned home. The sun set slowly, painting the sky with soft shades of orange and pink. Thor lay beside Mia on the porch, his head resting on her lap. She stroked his fur gently, feeling the warmth and strength that radiated from him. "You are my hero, Thor," she whispered. "You protect me and everyone we care about." Thor gave a soft growl of agreement, his eyes still alert for any sign of danger. That night, as the town slept, Thor remained vigilant. He watched the streets, the trees, and the shadows, ready for anything unusual. Mia slept soundly, knowing that her loyal friend and guardian was watching over her. Thor had faced the bikers again, proving that his patience, intelligence, and courage were more powerful than any threat. The next morning, Willow Creek was peaceful once more. The streets were calm, children played, and neighbors exchanged smiles and greetings. But the memory of Thor's bravery remained in everyone's mind. Parents told their children about the dog who protected his family and town. People understood that courage could come in many forms and loyalty could be stronger than fear. Mia and Thor continued their walks, moving confidently through the park and streets. Thor allowed friendly people to approach, but his eyes never missed anything unusual. He was a warrior, a protector, and a friend who balanced kindness with vigilance. His courage inspired those who saw him, and his loyalty reassured Mia and the townspeople that they were safe. As the sun set again, Mia sat on the porch with Thor beside her. The warm colors of the evening reflected on his coat, highlighting his strength and calm presence. Mia's parents smiled at the sight, proud of Thor and grateful for his unwavering loyalty. He had faced danger and uncertainty, yet he remained disciplined and courageous. Thor's reputation grew quietly throughout the town. Children talked about his bravery, neighbors admired his intelligence, and everyone who encountered him understood that he was more than just a dog. He was a guardian, a warrior, and a symbol of courage in Willow Creek. The day ended with Mia and Thor safe at home, the soft evening breeze brushing through the trees. Thor rested beside Mia, his eyes half closed but still alert. The town slept peacefully, knowing that its protector was nearby. The bikers had tested the town, but Thor had proven that strength, loyalty, and courage could overcome any challenge. Mia stroked Thor's head one last time before going inside. "Thank you for everything, Thor," she whispered. Thor nudged her hand as if to say that protecting her was the only thing that mattered. The small town of Willow Creek was calm, safe, and inspired by the bravery of a German shepherd who understood loyalty, courage, and responsibility better than anyone else. The morning sun rose over Willow Creek, spreading warm light across the quiet town. The streets were empty, and the gentle rustling of leaves in the trees made the town feel calm. Children played quietly in the playground, and neighbors exchanged greetings as they walked their dogs. But for Mia and Thor, the day carried a sense of anticipation. Thor's alertness was sharper than ever. His muscles were relaxed, but his eyes scanned every movement, every sound, and every shadow. Mia noticed Thor's focus and smiled. "What is it, boy?" she whispered as she held his leash. Thor nudged her hand gently, then looked toward the street. His instincts were telling him that today might bring the final challenge. Mia trusted him completely. She knew that whatever happened, Thor would protect her. As they walked through the park, Thor's ears twitched at every small sound. He sniffed the air carefully, and his tail moved slowly in a controlled rhythm. Everything seemed normal, but Thor sensed the presence of someone watching from a distance. Mia did not notice it at first, but Thor's body was tense and his gaze was fixed. He moved closer to Mia, staying between her and the unseen watcher. Soon the sound of motorcycles broke the morning calm. A group of bikers approached, riding carefully but with confidence. Their leader, the man who had kicked Thor weeks before, was at the front. This time they seemed more determined. They had heard the stories about Thor and were curious to test him one final time. But they underestimated the bond between Mia and Thor, and the intelligence and courage of the German shepherd. Thor stepped forward slightly, placing himself directly in front of Mia. He did not bark. He did not growl loudly, but his eyes locked on the bikers with a silent warning. Mia held his leash tightly and whispered, "We are ready, Thor. Stay calm and protect me." Thor gave a low, steady growl. It was not a threat. It was a signal to the intruders that he would not allow harm to come to Mia. The bikers slowed as they approached the park. They had expected a show of fear, or at least a dog barking aggressively. But Thor's calm presence, his powerful stance, and his unwavering gaze surprised them. The leader waved his hand to show dominance, but Thor did not move. He measured the threat carefully. Every movement, every sound, every gesture mattered. Thor was ready to act, but only in the way that would protect Mia and maintain control. Mia stepped slightly forward. "This is a peaceful town," she said firmly. "You are not welcome here. Please leave now." Her voice was calm, but it carried authority. Thor stayed at her side, strong and alert. The bikers exchanged nervous glances. They had underestimated the dog before, and now they realized that he was extraordinary. Thor's intelligence, strength, and loyalty made him a protector no one could ignore. One of the bikers tried to ride closer, attempting to scare Thor. Thor moved forward slightly, his body tense but controlled. His eyes never left the biker. The growl from his chest was quiet but powerful. It conveyed a message clearly. Any action to harm Mia or the town would be met with force. The biker froze, realizing he had misjudged Thor. His friend stepped back, unsure of what to do next. Mia hugged Thor briefly, feeling the reassurance of his presence. "You are amazing, Thor," she whispered. "Thank you for protecting me and our town." Thor nudged her gently, as if to say that his loyalty was his choice, his strength his duty, and his courage unwavering. He had faced threats before, but this was the ultimate test. The bikers would soon learn the power of intelligence, patience, and courage combined. The leader of the bikers looked around, noticing the neighbors who had come out to watch. Children, parents, and even the elderly were standing at a safe distance, their eyes fixed on Thor and Mia. The community had gathered quietly, ready to support them if needed. Thor's calm courage had inspired everyone. People understood that bravery did not always come with noise or aggression. Sometimes it was silent, steady, and unshakable. The bikers realized that their attempts to intimidate the town would not succeed. Thor did not need to attack. His presence alone commanded respect. The leader motioned for his group to leave, but he hesitated. He wanted to prove something to himself, to show that he was not afraid. But as he stepped closer, Thor's focus intensified. The dog's eyes were steady, his body balanced, and his growl low but firm. It was clear that any wrong move would be met with immediate response. Suddenly, one of the bikers tried to circle around, thinking he could surprise Thor. Thor reacted instantly, moving between Mia and the man. His speed and agility were remarkable. The biker froze, seeing the determination in Thor's eyes. This was not a dog acting on instinct alone. Thor calculated every move, protecting Mia and maintaining control over the situation. Mia held his leash tightly, whispering, "Good boy, Thor, stay with me." The bikers exchanged nervous glances. They realized that the dog's courage and intelligence were unmatched. Slowly, the leader nodded to his group. They had tested the town, they had faced Thor, and they had learned that some challenges were not meant to be taken lightly. One by one, the bikers turned and rode away, leaving the park and the town behind. Thor remained vigilant until they were gone. Only then did he relax slightly, walking back to Mia's side. The townspeople cheered quietly, patting Thor and congratulating Mia. Children ran to hug the dog, and neighbors praised his bravery. Mia hugged Thor tightly, feeling proud and grateful. "You did it, Thor," she whispered. "You protected me, our town, and everyone we care about." Thor gave a soft growl, nuzzling her hand. He had passed his ultimate test. Later that evening, Mia and Thor returned home. The sun set, painting the sky in brilliant colors of orange, pink, and purple. Thor lay beside her on the porch, his eyes alert but calm. Mia's parents watched, smiling at the bond between the girl and her dog. Thor had faced danger, measured it, and responded with courage and intelligence. He had not only protected Mia but also earned the respect of the entire town. Mia's father knelt beside Thor. "You are incredible," he said. "Your loyalty, bravery, and intelligence have saved the day. Willow Creek is lucky to have you." Thor wagged his tail slowly, content with the praise but focused on Mia. She was his priority, his reason for courage and the center of his world. Mia looked up at the sky, feeling safe and proud. She understood that Thor was more than a pet. He was a guardian, a warrior, and a loyal friend. His bravery had inspired the town, and his calm intelligence had turned a dangerous situation into a lesson about loyalty, courage, and strength. That night, as the stars appeared in the sky, Mia and Thor sat together on the porch. The town was quiet, peaceful, and safe. Thor rested his head on her lap, his eyes half closed but still watchful. Mia stroked his fur gently. "Thank you, Thor," she whispered. "You are my hero." Thor nudged her hand softly, a silent promise that he would always protect her. The next morning, life in Willow Creek continued with calm and joy. Children played, neighbors smiled, and the streets were peaceful. But everyone who had witnessed Thor's courage knew that the town had a protector unlike any other. He was a German shepherd, but he was also a warrior. His loyalty, intelligence, and bravery had earned the respect and admiration of everyone in Willow Creek. From that day forward, Thor became a symbol of courage and loyalty. He protected Mia and the town not through aggression but through intelligence, control, and unwavering dedication. The bikers never returned, having learned that Willow Creek had a guardian who would not be underestimated. Thor's reputation spread quietly, reminding everyone that bravery, loyalty, and courage could come in many forms, even in the heart of a loyal dog. Mia smiled as she watched Thor play in the yard the next day. He chased a ball, ran around joyfully, and returned to her side whenever she called. But beneath the playful movements, his strength, intelligence, and courage remained. He was always ready to protect, always ready to act, and always loyal to the one he loved most. As the sun set again over Willow Creek, Mia hugged Thor tightly. "You are amazing, Thor. I am so proud of you." Thor rested his head on her shoulder, content and calm. The town slept peacefully, knowing that their protector was always near, silent but strong, loyal and brave. Thor had faced challenges, measured every threat, and responded with courage, intelligence, and loyalty. He was not only Mia's companion but the hero of Willow Creek,